Good day, everyone, and welcome to another Vivid SIG Talk IT Operations. I want to thank everyone for attending today or listening to this in our post-production. And so the topics today is kind of interesting. We've got Micro Focus kind of giving us an update on what's happening in the OpsBridge solution, and the title is Hybrid Cloud Environments. And we've also got StreamWeaver, which is going to kind of talk about third-party tools into OpsBridge. So that's our day. Again, I want to welcome everyone to our monthly SIG Talk. We have one more scheduled for the end of this year, which will be November 15th, and we'll talk about that a little later. If you want to reach out with any questions beyond what you see here in the question panel, you can go to our not Instagram, but that's how much I use these tools. We'll get to it. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. Come back. Here we go. There we go. So again, we do these things every Monday. It's broken down between the ITOM segments and the ADM segments currently. If you'd like to participate in a future SIG Talk event, basically we're looking for practitioner kind of conversations, talking about best practices, tips and tricks, things that will help other members of the Vivid community. So at the end, you'll get a survey, and that will kind of guide you to if you want to put in some information about a future event. Today's SIG Talk is sponsored by Micro Focus, so we thank them for supporting us and supporting you as customers of the Micro Focus tools, and they're helping us today to put on this event. My name is Rocky Pisto. I'm currently involved with Vivid as the liaison for marketing and helping bring messages like this to you, as well as a SIG leader in the ITOM space, actually for a long time. Today's speakers, we've got a roundup of some of the Micro Focus folks. Gary Brandt, Samaya is here talking about some of the OpsBridge stuff. Carol Parks is here again talking about what they're doing with the technology. If you haven't heard any of the new updates, it's now starting to hit the market, so that it's a good time to be listening to what they have to say. And then from the StreamWeaver side, we've got Nate Rich, who's got a lot of experience within the partner community, as well as customers, working with a lot of large customers, and Bob Johnson, who works for them as well, kind of guiding this process. Again, this is a live session. It's being recorded. Recordings are available to all Vivid members. So if you can't make this session today, it'll be in our on our portal where you can get access to it in the future. And again, we have a panel that kind of talks about where you can put in questions. Well, we'll try to get to some of them today. So we've got a full agenda with all the activity. But if they're not answered today, they will be in the post-production area when we send you the presentation with the questions to the answers. And here again, here is the window that kind of demonstrates where you can see the questions, or you can type in the questions. Again, you can tweet us. That's what I was looking for. You can tweet us with your questions at Vivid SIG Talk, and we'll try to get to them as well. And with that, passing it on to our first presenter at Micro Focus. I think that's Brent. I think we're switching over. You bet. So we're switching over to your presentation.
Okay, we'll get that loaded up in a second. As we do, I'll just introduce myself. Hi, everyone. This is Gary Brandt. I'm a product manager with OpsBridge Suite at Micro Focus. Okay, hopefully everyone can see this. So we wanted to do just a quick overview of OpsBridge. Some of you are, I imagine most of you are familiar with it, but I'll just go through it to kind of acclimate everybody quickly. So OpsBridge is a suite of capabilities that are designed to automate IT ops for the digital enterprise. And there are many capabilities, and in this graphic on the screen, we try to illustrate some of those capabilities and how they come together in delivering value. Let me start with hybrid IT monitoring, which is sort of the focus of this session anyway. You know, if you're familiar with OpsBridge, you know that we have a very complete and thorough, very rich set of monitoring for traditional on-prem capabilities. And this goes back decades of experience in the monitoring space in traditionally HP, HPE, and now Micro Focus. What we have done over the past year and a half is invested quite heavily into cloud and bringing those same capabilities that monitor, not just monitoring, but doing discovery of the elements in your environment to better understand how things are related automatically, monitoring events, monitoring metrics, monitoring log data, and bringing that all in for managing your IT environment. We've taken that experience and we translated that into how best to monitor cloud environments, public cloud environments. And we also work with partners like StreamWeaver to bring in third-party data, as well as offer a rich set of our own integrations to bring in to do that monitoring capability. In the cloud, we look at, we understand that customers, their solutions are not based on, they transcend different environments today. So we really treat monitoring a solution as in a hybrid way. So it brings together multiple components into one place to have that optimized monitoring environment. The second part is consolidating information. So the information that we bring into the cloud, or we bring into OpsBridge, we are built on we sort of have our own data lake, and it's built on top of Vertica. Vertica is a columnar high big data database where we use that information throughout the entire environment. With that information that we're collecting, we can apply our analytics, apply our traditional techniques to better build a solution in giving our customers the ability to optimize how they do proactive monitoring, do troubleshooting, and do proactive types of capabilities to avoid issues. And we can do that through the information that we collect in our big data database. We also recognize that monitoring is not just infrastructure, but it's also applications, and solutions that our customers have are transcend just, they're not just a technology, they're multiple technologies, including, the entire stack. So we have brought, as part of OpsBridge Suite, we have our application health capabilities. So this is our APM products. So doing monitoring such as real user monitoring or synthetic monitoring, we can bring that data in and also bring it into our data lake. And in our data lake, we can incorporate that into better views and better relationships of that full picture, so that integrated view of how applications and infrastructure work together. So that's a big part of OpsBridge Suite as well. And we also offer in OpsBridge multiple ways to consume this information through traditional reporting capabilities, such as scheduled reports and out-of-the-box reports or custom reports that customers may need and create for themselves. But we also recognize that in IT or in an organization, there are a lot of different stakeholders who look to understand how IT is affecting or enabling their business. So what we have created is something called a business value dashboard. And this is an ability to allow a CIO or a director of monitoring to better demonstrate how IT is bringing value to the business. And this is done through very creative and flexible ways to represent IT data in the context of the business and in a business service in particular. So we're going to demonstrate some of these things today. But this is sort of at a high level, some of the capabilities that deliver operations in a hybrid environment that is automated, that is driven by analytics and scales to enterprise scale based on the architectures that we deploy it. So down at the bottom, lastly, is the different components that we use, including we can deploy on physical, virtual, cloud, and also we have container-based deployments where we really abstract the underlying technology from the deployment model. So if we can move to the next slide, I'd like to give you just a quick update on some of the recent additions and changes to the latest version of OpsBridge. Okay, so I'm going to walk through some of these, and I'm going to walk through all these, but some of them we are actually going to talk about in more detail throughout the presentation, as well as demonstrate some. So first, I just want to call out, we continue to make investments in cloud. I mentioned hybrid IT is a big part of what we deliver for that complete monitoring experience and IT management of your environment. So we've made significant investments in hybrid IT around the SAP space and our platform as a service across Azure and AWS. We have also, there are many services that cloud providers, public cloud providers provide. We have delivered every quarter release, we deliver coverage, deep monitoring coverage of those services. And in our last release, we delivered Azure Data Factory and Data Lake Store as the latest sort of content packs. We call them sort of out-of-the-box content packs. And we also delivered a new capability. So while the content packs are sort of out of the box, turnkey content ready to go, some of our customers have been asking for, hey, can we have a more generic way to pick and choose which services that we want to get deeper dives into? And we listened to our customers and we delivered that in our August release. And this is a generic web service that allows you to go to allow a customer to pick and choose which services they want to monitor today from AWS, and we have plans to deliver the same generic capability with the other cloud vendors. In addition, on AWS, we also delivered DynamoDB and Beanstalk services. So I mentioned BVD, our business value dashboard. That is a very flexible way to show information especially to the non-IT consumers in the environment. In the last release, we actually created we released now templates to help users get started or to make changes in 3 easy steps. And you'll see some of the BVDs in the demos today. And then lastly, one of the things that we have, I didn't mention, but we have a very deep and rich automation capability with over 8,000 flows. But in addition to that, we have a bot that works with different ChatOps products. So if your organization or if your customers' organizations are, if they embrace the collaborative type of operation management, through a ChatOps tool that they use, they can integrate with a single bot that we now have in a suite rather than multiple bots. So those are just some quick updates from the last release, and now we're going to switch over and show you and go into a little more detail about some of these components. So I'm going to hand it over to Soumya.
Okay, thank you, Gary. This is Soumya Upadhyay. I'm product manager for the OpsBridge group. I specialize in all the integrations that go into the operations bridge. So Gary earlier mentioned that we have over 200 plus integrations covering traditional environments, cloud environments, container environments, and so on, right? So in the last release, we released a generic collection, generic monitoring capability for AWS specifically. And this, like Gary mentioned, was a requirement that came from our customers where they said that, look, AWS by itself provides over 100 plus services. There are some services where we need out of the box content, but for the rest of the services, if we have just a way of collecting the data, and then we can massage the data as we require subsequently, right? So that's where we introduce this generic AWS monitoring, where we are now able to discover all the AWS services, collect metrics for a specific service, so you can specify which particular service you want to collect the metrics from, and you will see that in the demo. And then based on the collection that you do, you can then create specific alerting policies for the metrics that you are collecting, right? So with this, we are now able to cover all of the services that are exposed by AWS through the CloudWatch interface. And moving on, so additional to AWS, we also extended our Azure management capability. So we already have significant coverage of Azure with the load balancer, SQL Server, and storage. We extended that to the data lake store and data factory with our latest August release that we spoke about. In addition, on the AWS side as well, we added additional services where we deliver out-of-the-box content with specific templates which allow you to deploy monitoring out of the box and threshold and alert based on these out-of-the-box templates itself. So let's take a quick look at the demo of this generic AWS monitoring capability. So I have that here, and I hope you're able to see this demo here. So we'll start from the space where we actually start the configuration. So as you can see, right in the middle of this screen are the various AWS aspects that we cover. So we do have out-of-the-box templates for the top AWS services already, and as a focus of this particular demo, I will cover the AWS generic aspect over here. So now what we want to do is we want to identify a specific service within AWS that we would like to start collection from. So how do we start that? So first we need to go to the AWS site. We identify the specific namespace. So every single service that AWS offers has a predefined namespace. So we will use that namespace for our collection of metrics. So we just copy that namespace from the AWS website itself, and we can share the link of the AWS direct link, which actually lists all of these namespace. And then once we go back to the operations bridge, we need to assign this particular namespace to this generic aspect. Okay, so that's what we are trying to do right now, where we select the specific namespace. We identify which namespace we want to actually monitor. So in this case, we have selected Elastic Cache. So we key in that as an attribute for AWS namespace, and move on to the next portion of the configuration. So as you can see, in addition to the namespace, you can also configure your collection frequency. In this case, we have a collection frequency set to 5 minutes. We can also configure as a prerequisite the AWS access keys that are required to access the CloudWatch account as well. Okay. In addition to this, there are a couple of prerequisites in terms of configurations which identify specific proxy agents from which actually would be required for collecting data from AWS itself. So these the configurations for those as well can be added in into this particular generic aspect that we are collecting from. So now that we've identified the specific services that we want to collect from. So let's take a look at how that translates into the overall topology that we are seeing that we're collecting from AWS itself. Okay, so as you can see on this screen, this shows you all the various namespaces, all the services that we are collecting, monitoring from AWS, in this case, Elastic Cache, we have Workspaces, Cloud Search, OpsWorks, EFS, and so on. You can also see the underlying components within these specific services as well. So for example, in the case of Elastic Cache, you can actually see the cluster IDs or clusters that are configured within this particular service as well. So once we've already discovered what is available as a part of those particular services, so we are done with the configuration. This next step was the discovery. The discovery was automated. So now let's take a look at from a monitoring dashboard point of view, what is it that we can also visualize as a part of the operations bridge. Okay, so in this case, we have created a custom dashboard specifically for AWS, and this can be tweaked as you require. So in this particular dashboard, what we are tracking is all of the events that that we have received over a period of time and the severity of those events on the top left. On the bottom left, you can actually see the hierarchy of various services. In this case, since we are interested in Elastic Cache that we have just about configured, we can see that there is one specific event that is still unresolved from an Elastic Cache point of view. And on investigate, there has been a threshold hybrid IT demo after this slide. Carol?
Actually, I can do that? Sure. So, oops, let me share the screen. So at this point, Gary introduced the business value dashboard, and at the top of the session, and it's a way it's basically a presentation layer. It presents whatever's sent to it in real time. So as soon as data's sent, it's presented to the user, and it can help convey value that IT is providing to the business. You can share IT, non-IT data. And some of our customers use it to form a closer or more of a partnering relationship with the business. The dashboards themselves, historically, we've pretty much said, here's business value dashboard. It's very flexible. It's one of its strengths. You can present anything in any layout, out to any form factor. But the gotcha is you can do anything. And we found some of our users of the tool are not comfortable, they're not graphics designers. It takes time and effort sometimes for people to start from scratch. So we provided a set of what we call white label dashboards or white label templates that you can use as a starting point to then leap off from that point and have your own tailored dashboards for your environment. And it makes it much faster to produce a professional dashboard. The second thing is they support themes, which I want to show you here as well. And that makes it easier to apply a color scheme, maybe your corporate color scheme, and then just through a few, those few steps, upload and instantly use your new dashboard without much effort. So the first step here I want to go through is you need to be at Marketplace, ITOM Marketplace, to download the example white label dashboards. I've already logged in, and so the first thing you just need to do is download the example content. So let's do that. And once it's downloaded, we'll just go to that content. It's a zip file, so just open it up. And it comes with 3 Visio files, and you can just go through each one. We'll just pick the first sample dashboard to start with, but there are 3 different types of white labeled dashboard content, and each one of those, when you open it up in Visio, has a set of pages. Again, each page represents a single dashboard, potentially in Business Value Dashboard. So we have an overview, web channel, layout dashboard. Yeah, in this case, we just label them retail channel. Obviously, you're going to change these to your own settings. But the idea is to have a look through them and see what most closely matches the layout and the types of widgets that you would like to display, so you don't need to create all of this from scratch. So in this case, we'll start with web channel. That's going to most closely match what I want to show. And as I mentioned, we support themes, so I may not like this default color scheme, but I can apply a different theme. And this is our, since our May release, we've provided support for themes in all of our widgets in the Visio stencil that we provide. And once you've picked a theme, one that's in Visio, one that you've created that's corporate branded, we'll apply that one. Again, you've got a choice of variants. On top of that, we'll just stick with the default variant. And again, you can then tune the accent colors. Again, they just get applied. So this is, we're essentially supporting standard Visio capabilities here. So we'll just replace the, replace the dashboard. Let me just correct it again. We'll just put in our own logo in place of the placeholder there. But you can put your image or logo or whatever you want into the diagram. Leave it there. And in this case, make any other changes. So in this one, I do want to do end user monitoring. In this example, I want to show what the performance is like in different locations around the world. That's why I chose this one. But in my case, my location, sorry about the background noise there. In this case, we don't have our point of presence in France, but we do have it in the UK. So let's just move those widgets and just change it. So make any changes that you want to your dashboard. Okay. Once you're happy with the layout, the changes, as many as you need to do, then we'll just save that, give it a new name. So let's just call it MH for microhomes. Okay. So we've saved the changes, pretty simple, and Business Value Dashboard needs to work with an SVG format file, not with a standard Visio file. So we can export that. We could do a more complex save as Visio format, SVG format, but here I've got a button that's an add-in, or an add-on from I downloaded from the Business Value Dashboard resources menu. In the Business Value Dashboard GUI. So if you just click that, it selects everything in the page and saves that as an SVG file. So if we go to have a look at that, that was the Visio file we just saved. And when we did that one click, we now have an SVG file, same location, with the same portion of the file name. So this is the file we're going to upload into Business Value Dashboard. And so you log into Business Value Dashboard, and which I've already done here. And all we need to do is upload that dashboard. So we'll go into the dashboard management area. We're going to add a new dashboard. And we'll just pick that Visio file, that SVG file that we just saved a second ago, and bring that in. Okay. So same look and feel, exactly the same as we had in Visio itself, but now the widgets are here highlighted saying, well, the widgets are driven by data that's sent to them. And so I'm already sending data, I just need to present it in the dashboard. And so we need to connect them together. So in the case here, I'll pick the USA response time, and I need to find which data channel. I can scroll through the list, or I know that I have a data channel that's to do with Microhome's web channel. And when you mouse over it, you get an idea on the tooltip of what are the names of all of the the metrics, their latest values, and most importantly also how long ago, how fresh that data is. So we know that data is being pumped through. It's a reassuring thing. The metric we want to choose from that channel corresponds with, we want USA response time, so that'll be the one we pick. And you can control the number format. So for response time, I don't want to show every decimal point, so I'll just say I want just 1 decimal point, and we won't bother changing anything else. So at this point, I've got one widget bound to data that's coming in to a particular metric in a data channel. You would apply the rest here, do the same thing again for all of the others. So you've got rid of all the triangles. For the time being, we'll just leave that as it is, and we'll just save that to have a look at the end result. Now, to see the dashboards, let's go look at the dashboard that we just uploaded and bound. And clearly I didn't do that properly, did I? But I can go back and change it. But anyway, I didn't. I must have typed in something wrongly. I wasn't looking closely at it. But you see the data is being updated here. But the main thing at the moment is you've got that same look and feel that you only spent a short time on, or in this session we only spent a very short time customizing the layout, the color scheme, minimal change to get your end result. So you're up and running a lot faster. Here's one that I created earlier, which is basically the same thing, but I connected all of the data channels to the widgets. And by the way, that's just a one-time operation, because if I were to go back and change that Visio, I decide, I want a different look and feel, or I want to change the layout or whatever, then all you need to do is then just simply upload that SVG back into this same dashboard. All these bindings are preserved. So you're really only just connecting the widgets to the data one time only. And that's your end result. So thank you very much.
Great. Is that it for the Micro Focus team? If it is, I think we'll move on to Bob Jensen to kind of talk about what they're showing with the integration points. But thanks to the quick update for Micro Focus, I know it was much shorter than we probably needed to get through a lot of the products, but it is what it is. Bob, looks like you got your screen up, so we're good.
Sounds great. Thanks very much, Rocky. And again, thanks to the Micro Focus team as well for inviting us to today's SIG talk. StreamWeaver is a company that specializes in streaming data, metric event topology, and log data from source systems to destinations, including, of course, Micro Focus OpsBridge. So what we'll do is, let me first introduce Nate and myself. Nate Rich is on. He's a solutions architect at StreamWeaver, and he's got decades of experience with very large Micro Focus customers, and you see some of those listed. Myself, I've been a VP of marketing at ServiceNow and a VP at BMC Software. So I come from the IT operations space, but definitely don't have as deep an experience as Nate does in terms of the Micro Focus portfolio. So it's a nice combination. Next slide. So we'll start with a poll. We'll keep a little interactive here. If you could, take a few seconds here, leave it open for about 30 seconds or so, and let us know roughly how many monitoring tools are deployed in your company. This is a question that's really looking at the enterprise. So, if you're involved with a particular domain, let's say the application, right, you might want to think, holistically around the full stack. So if you can get those in, we'll count down to 10.
That's great. Yeah, through the years, Bob, there's always been a lot of tools depending on the silo within the organization to use their preferred tools. So it's always interesting to see how many there are available, or how many are being used in these companies.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely.
So
Oh, here.
looks like we've got, yeah, you see it. I'll let you talk to it then, if you can see it.
Yeah, no, I sure can. Yeah, it looks like the majority, we're at 50%, have between 6 to 20 tools deployed, which, fits right in, I think, with our, observations. I'm surprised, frankly, that, nobody on the call has more than 51, because I've, spoken to a few large enterprises where, the number exceeded 50, which seems surprising, but I think it's just indicative of the challenge, right? Rocky basically pointed it out that, each of the domains, if you think about the full stack, they have traditionally have had different teams, and different teams, adopt what are sometimes called best of breed tools, right? So thanks for putting that up, Rocky. We'll go back to the deck now. Next slide. And this is what the result is, right? If you think about the 6 to 20 monitoring tools, it's basically those specific domains from the app down to the network that are adopted by these siloed teams, and that data normally remains siloed as well, right? So, one option, if you wanted to take an enterprise-wide view, is to basically create one-off integrations, right? We call them brittle integrations, and I'll explain that as we go through the presentation. But of course, the permutations are enormous, right? If you've got 20 tools and you try to integrate, each of them together, you're obviously talking about a very large project, right? One that's going to take significant time, investment, and so forth, right? Our proposition is, focus on the business, right? Not on acquiring data. In a lot of respects, StreamWeaver is a plumber, right? That's the business that we're in. We're in the plumbing business. With StreamWeaver, we ease access to data, right? So if you have, a tools proliferation issue like most enterprises do, you can consolidate and get that visibility across the entire IT estate. And as I mentioned, creating, maintaining these separate integrations doesn't scale, and it ties up dev resources, defocuses dev resources from, working on, core issues, right? Like, for example, working closely with the business, right, as opposed to, doing non-value added work. With that, next slide, please. The bad news is, if you will, right, there's always a silver lining, but the bad news here is that the challenge is only getting worse. There is no slowdown in the rate of, new tools that are coming on the scene, right? New types of sources, the amount of data, the diversity of the data types. So StreamWeaver provides you the capability to universally distribute that data, to where it can be used best. And we do, as we transport that data, we normalize it. So source systems don't need to know about the requirements of destination systems, and destinations like Micro Focus OpsBridge don't need to know specifics about the source tools. Right? Next slide. And so that's, again, what StreamWeaver does, right? So, we stream operations data from all domains and all clouds, right, to the applications and teams best positioned to achieve the desired business outcomes. You can see the interface in the middle, right? That's actually our UI. And, obviously you can see that there's a set of sources or origins on the left and a set of destinations on the right, including across Micro Focus. Our solution is highly scalable. It is highly available. We guarantee delivery. As part of that, we do data flow throttling. These are features that if you were going to do those 20 integrations manually, chances are that you wouldn't build in those features, right? So in addition to making this quick and easy, we also provide a lot of functionality that is normally not developed by folks that do the integration development on a one-off basis. Nate is going to take us through at the end of these slides. I know I've got a couple more, and he's going to actually show you an integration of App Dynamics into to Micro Focus OpsBridge. And he's going to show you how you can do it in 3 minutes. Right? That's how fast we can go. Next slide, please. I'd like to say we're enterprise proven. You can see some of our customers, and of course, on our partner side, you see Micro Focus there, as well as a few other names. As a quote from Roy Ilsley, who's an analyst at Ovum, right? And he said, StreamWeaver takes the view that data is a source of knowledge, so it makes disparate data sources available in real time so that IT ops can ensure that service quality is maintained. And I think that's a great quote because that pretty much sums it up. Next. And, the business value that we're able to bring is, by what I like to think of as supercharging, the investments that have already been made. For example, if, the app, you're going to see a demo of it in a few minutes, but if the application team, right, decides to adopt, App Dynamics as, their APM platform, there's no reason why a wonderful, analytics, tool like OpsBridge shouldn't have access to that data, right? Because by, taking that data and data from other tools, you get that holistic enterprise-wide view, right? So, some of the, and I won't read through all of these, but obviously, reduce MTTR and reduce MTTK, right? The concept of mean time to know and mean time to respond, right? One of the great things about consolidating data is that it avoids some of the typical challenges with war rooms, right? Because it's pretty obvious once you consolidate all the data about, what went wrong, what was the root cause of a particular outage. And so we look at it in terms of increasing service availability, right? And this is enabling. We enable an increase in service availability. We normalize data streams, again, reduce months of developer time to minutes. And, we're location agnostic again, so we can pretty much get data from any cloud or any, on-premise locations, to a consolidated view for IT. All right, next slide. This is the tools that we support, as well as an early view into our roadmap. So if you see in the top, we've got about 30 tools or so that are either source or destination. And you can see, I can read through these. There's actually a handout, right, or an artifact that you can that you can download from the Vivid site that actually has a lot of the details here. In 2018, we have a plan, for the rest of this year, basically for the next couple months, to bring additional integrations over the goal line. And in 2019, obviously, right, we have a plan to develop a number of different sources. On the destination side, we're still going through and figuring out what the right approach is. So, that will most likely be updated as we proceed into 2019. I think the one thing you can take away from this, though, is we have critical mass, right? These are out-of-the-box integrations. And Nate is going to show you how at least the App Dynamics one works, but it's very similar to how the other ones work. Okay, next slide. And of course, the question is, why buy it, right, when I can build it? In addition to the fact that some of those features, that enterprise functionality would be missing, there's an ROI case here, right, both in time to value as well as in terms of cost avoidance, right? And the third angle in that would be getting, the folks like developers to focus on those core initiatives as opposed to doing, these one-off, plumbing-oriented integrations, right? So again, that's our value prop. Next slide. And so, this is the way we view the world, right? Is that finally, enterprise data is useful and actionable, right? We can take it from any cloud and from any tool, and we automate the integration of that data into destination tools like MicroFocus OpsBridge. All right, and by liberating that ops data, you do get the visibility into the entire IT environment, and the end result is you can accelerate remediation and obviously continuously improve, based on this new view into all of the enterprise data in a great tool like MicroFocus OpsBridge. All right, next slide. I'm going to turn it over to Nate to do the platform demonstration, right? But just before we do, there are 9 mediators available. The StreamWeaver mediators are marketplace, right? So if you go to the marketplace, ITOM content, and search for StreamWeaver, you'll see those mediators. You can, those are free, right, to get you used to the system. In addition to that, there's also a handout here that I took a screenshot of that's on the left-hand side, which you're more than welcome to download. And with that, Nate.
Alrighty, thank you for that. Let me switch over to a different screen. Alrighty, so we should be viewing at this point the OpsStream UI, and so as Bob said just a minute ago, we're going to go through a live demonstration of connecting a couple of tools here. So we're going to take an App Dynamics instance that I have set up here with a few applications in it right now. This is one of my instances here, and an application, Phantom Writer, is actually the one I'm interested in today. And then I've got on this side OMI set up. It's a completely blank instance at this point. There's nothing in it, no topology, no events, no metrics. So we're going to show you how to resolve that. So back in the OpsStream UI under the Weaver tab, we're going to start by creating a new stream. It's a little plus symbol here. It takes us into a guided wizard that we can quickly step through these configuration steps here. So on the new origin side, it's going to be again App Dynamics and type. I'm going to give it a unique name. I already had one called App Dynamics, so we'll just call this one AppD. I'll now provide the credential information and the server information to connect to that system that I just showed you.
I'm done. Someone else is doing their demo.
Carol, I can hear you, just so you know. And then we've got the credentials. If I typed it in right, yep, we're able to move forward. So for the destination side, we're going to be leveraging the OpsBridge connector today, that mediator for the destination side. So we're going to save that, no credentials to pass for it. So I'm going to pick now the data types for step 5 here. I'm going to take all 3, and specifically the health rule violations out of App Dynamics are interesting to me. At this point in step 6, we configured the collector. So this is the stuff coming out of AppD. On the events side, we talked about an application I'm interested in, which is Phantom Writer. It's an actual app running in the background. And we got that list as a query of the App Dynamics systems because we entered the credentials earlier. So that was a drop-down list we could pick from. It did a secondary query, if you caught that, where the tiers started to show up, and those are the tiers related to this application as configured in App Dynamics. The rest of this stuff is all set to default to collect all events, or all health rule violations in this case. And I'm asking it to collect every 5 minutes with this schedule here, and the time window is going to be also set to 5 minutes by default. So that's it for the events. For the metrics, it's a very similar process. I'm going to ask it to go a little bit faster. I'm going to go every 2 minutes. Again, for Phantom Writer as the target, all tiers. And you'll notice I have a bunch of metrics paths down through here. These are the out-of-the-box template that we provide. These are the most interesting metrics as most people find them out of App Dynamics. Of course, you can remove them if you want to, add other ones if you need to, etc. But I'm going to ask it to pull the last 2 minutes every 2 minutes just to get a little bit faster for this demo. And then lastly, for topology, it's very similar. I'm going to go, again, a little bit quicker than normal. I'm going to do a 2-minute schedule and focus on the topology from Phantom Writer out of AppD. So at that point, the collector is done. We can save that and move forward to the distributor side. Just a few options available to us here for the events. I do want to have field labels, so I'm going to select that. Metrics, same thing. I do want field labels in my output. And then for topology, I want it to evaluate for deltas in the topology every 2 minutes just to match the collection side. So that's it for the topology, and then the distributor itself. And then lastly, we give it the name. We'll use the default and save and start this stream. So now it puts us back into the Weaver tab, and you can see we have a new card here on the left on the origins and AppD, and it's connected to OpsBridge connector that we named earlier, and it's got these 3 channels. We've got an orange one that's metrics, a dark blue that's events, and the light blue that is topology. The little ant trail means that it's moving. So at this point, we have configured the integration between the two tools, and that work is done. What we do need to do is give a little bit of time for the processing to happen as it pulls from Dynamics, makes those files, populates those files, and then makes them available for OMI to absorb and start processing. So that's what we're giving a little bit of time for now. You see as we're watching the OMI screen for data to start coming in, the health violations popped in as the events file was read. So you can see a variety of health violations from AppD. It's got all the information you'd expect. That gives you the triage level info for AppD. Another cool thing that we provide is the URL for drill down, so you can go into a specific event and leveraging the show, my UI to wake up, the show event and source manager. It'll actually do a context pop-up of AppD for you, right there on that event. You know, I haven't logged in just a minute, so let me put in my password. So loads up the context driven here. So you've got this health violation, JVM heap utilization too high, and there it is drilled in for us there. So a couple of things that are there out of the box. Let me check on our topology. That's the one, when the topology shows up, the views start to get created. It takes just a little bit of time for that to happen. So give it just a minute here.
While we're waiting for that, just for the folks on the call, don't be confused by OpsStream, right? That's a brand name that we're retiring. We're standardizing on StreamWeaver. So that update hasn't been made in the UI yet, but it'll be done by December.
Let's see here. Again, we're just waiting for files to flow through. The expectation will be this will pop up with a refresh, and we'll be able to take a look at that. A couple other things we can look at in the UI while we're waiting for that data to flow through is there's some other tabs that we didn't talk about at all. So we have things in here showing showing connectivity from one tool to many tools and many tool to one tool, things like that. All those are possible with an integration platform like StreamWeaver's, and a few different other features you can look at would be the dashboard tab, where we can actually keep track of the performance of our integrations and what's running, what's not, the last pull, what came across. You can even get down into the details of exactly what was pulled. So the last time we pulled it from AppD on this, we got 9 health violations, 78 samples of topology, and 60 metrics, just to kind of give you an idea of the insights we can give to customers whenever they're leveraging the platform. And I'm checking on the flow here. We've got about 5 minutes left, and I know we've got some more.
Yeah, we have some more slides to view. So if it's okay, why don't we just go through those slides, and we can come back and take a last view on
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go back to that, and then I'll pop back in hopefully before we end this thing. So let me go back to the slides. This one, start PowerPoint.
All right. Rocky, you want to take over?
Sure. So thanks, guys. Yeah, just a lot of content between the Micro Focus team and the StreamWeaver folks. I loved all the demos where we're actually getting into the product and getting a sense, at least a quick sense of how the product works. So that's perfect for what we want on a SIG talk. We had a couple of questions. I think we've answered them online. Not a whole lot at this point. If you've got a question, please put it in the question panel and we can get to it. Let's go to the next slide. So while, if we've got questions, we'll get to them here in a minute, but just to let you know, we've got a number of Vivid events coming here in the near future. On November 6th, they're doing a spotlight on one of our directors and great volunteers, Bob Cruz, and from Checkpoint Technology, and just to kind of talk about their experience in our realm, if you will. And on November 7th, there's an ALM event I'm not sure if it's just a regular webinar. And then November 15th, we've got our last SIG Talk IT operations event coming up, and I think one of them is a presentation from a university and how they've used some of the Micro Focus training, the ART training tool to get people up to speed with the technology. But we'll get that marketed here very shortly. Next slide. Again, at the end, please fill out the survey. And if you've got any topics of interest, or you would like to present, or you know someone that you'd like to hear from, feel free to put that on there. That'd be great. So let's go back to your demo if we can, and kind of get the end result, because I think we're done on this side.
Nate, are you on mute? Nate?
We have lost him.
It just says, yeah, for some reason he's not being able to unmute. Yeah, unfortunately he wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, he says go to
well,
webinar. It's frozen, so our apologies, but.
No, no problem. I think we were at the end there anyway. So again, I want to thank Micro Focus for this event. Without that help, we can't do them. And I want to thank the guys at StreamWeaver for sharing what they're doing with the technology and providing this content to our members. So with that, I think we can close out the SIG Talk for October, and we'll see you next month. Thanks, everyone.